Put a tarp for the first time last night. Hey, it's the anniversary of Elvis's death. Didn't rain much last night though. He would have been 86 if he was still alive. And in a few weeks, it's the 20-year anniversary of the Twin Towers 9/11. Man, I don't have any friends. I haven't had any time, and the people that I contacted to request a quote or some to seal the roof haven't responded yet. I'll just have to buy caulking myself soon, and I'll have to find a way to get up there without really buying a big ladder to do a good job at some point. And I also wanted to talk about today that yesterday was a day I realized that I don't want to be in any COVID conversations anymore. I hadn't been in one for a while, but when one kind of popped up a little bit as a joke and then it was going to turn serious, I realized how impatient I can get with those. And it's because of the lack of sapience and sentience in our species. It's so apparent with these conversations. It's very, very discouraging. It's almost like I'd prefer getting back in the debates, evolution versus creationism. Like religious ones would be a nice break, that type of nonsense, instead of the COVID type of nonsense that people say, and just they really think that their opinion has value. It's pretty sad. So so now I'm now going to shut down pretty quickly any conversations about this by just saying I don't tolerate those kind of conversations anymore, because it usually makes me both very sad and very angry to hear what people have to say on this subject. And that includes the experts that you put on TV that everybody thinks are the ones we should listen to. They also demonstrate a lack of sentience and sapience. They're ridiculous. Also make me realize that using science as a species to do cultural repair, or to look at ourselves more objectively, or to undo the damage that we're still doing, it's not going to work. We're not mature enough to use science responsibly. It's pretty sad. And it would require us caring about even our own families and other of our species and other life forms. And actually, altruism has really gone down the hill since the last few thousand years, or 70 or 100,000 years. It's pretty sad. Anyways, just hold on. I want to think about another subject I wanted to say today. So, again, I got an email yesterday from Uganda about a lady who was in a place where the family invited me to stay there, and I met a young lady who I wanted to adopt, and she's not in school now, but somebody tried to get me to get money for her at her school, which seemed like a real school, but I could tell, even though I said before, can you let in the video the girl say what she wants to say, but you can see it was a rehearsed speech that repeated, getting money for her schooling, and you can tell, like, she sent me some pretty clear nonverbal communication. It wasn't really her own words, poor young lady. So somebody else emailed me about her yesterday, and I said, well, I'd like to trust you more, and for that, give that girl and her mother, who has issues, and who she has a brother as well that's on drugs, and so they can't give her a future, right, this girl. And so there's a Quebec school board that takes care of the north of the province that very likely might offer me a job, but it's their kind of, there's two positions, and they're going to annoy me, even though I said in the pre-interview, don't do this, hire me as a contractor, and if you really need to put me in the union, Saints Go, whatever, is because there's a range of like 48,000 to 72,000 or something like that for that job, is I should be in the upper as much as anybody else, whether I have the same kind of ways to prove experience or skill sets or diplomas or references, because it's all about results. I told her, I said, if I go there and I have more results than people that make $30,000 a year more than me, is you're going to get a quick letter of resignation. And it's not about money, it's about showing to them, using what they understand, that the learners, the children, come first. And it's not just school related, it's mental health, trauma, addictions related. So my skill sets lend very well. I know it'll be overly structured there, Now, if they offer me this one, I'll also say that yesterday I was on the website and I saw that their school district that's doing a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing because they're really not competent at it, like hiring a driving instructor and a vice principal. And I think there's a third position there that I also believe is paid more and would have the flexibility of more travel, which I'd appreciate. Because being, let's say, stuck for, because it's a 12-month job, it's not like there's no summer breaks in a community that is small, that wouldn't have badminton, it wouldn't have, good prospects for me to have friendships, then it would also be very challenging. So I'd prefer a job that moves around more and that isn't stuck, let's say, with the same team of people that try to domesticate me as if I have to do things their way when I get more results, for example. That's very upsetting. So we'll see. I predict I'll probably get that job, and they're going to probably make me feel a bit intimidated, like they're doing me a favor and don't argue with us too much, and is a good salary. And really, I might end up turning it down and then cataloging that I'm turning down a job, let's say for $65,000 a year or more with the benefits of working in the north. And I have to do that to show them I won't be part of the problem. But let's say they convince me, then I think, because, they said, do you have any spouses or kids? I said no, but if they help sponsor this girl, which wouldn't be an easy thing, it wouldn't happen quickly, it might take half a year, which would keep me motivated to work there because then I'd be like, waiting to start my own family, in the future. And it's rewarding. Like right now, the job that I have is very, very challenging for a low pay. But again, I put a down payment on a motorcycle that I'm still very excited about, and it's going to take, a few more weeks before I get it and all the equipment for it. But, when I have a reason to work for things, I can tolerate more of the people primate or homo communius nonsense. And this one going in the north and going, far away and having limited freedom. I don't know if they understand that part, the recruiters, which I'm reviewing the conversation with the first recruiter yesterday before I'm transferred to the second interview, possibly this week with somebody else. It's a little bit their own version of, it might not be paid the same way or pressured the same way, but it's a little bit like the recruiters in China. They just, okay, I got to fill this role, that's my job. I got to put people in here. I got to maybe train them not to be argumentative in the next interview because that's what we need to fit in there right now, and that's the way people describe that role, and that's what we think we need. And if he gets there and he sees it's different needs for the clientele, it's up to him. It's past my pay grade. After that, he can deal with whatever problems the school district culture will deal with. It's an interesting place because there was a lady, an Inuit, I think, lady that defended, I think, 3 kids from a polar bear attack, and supposedly it was one of the cases where she was documented to have had, pretty superhuman strength in this defense, and luckily a hunter with a gun shot the bear, and she didn't end up very injured, it turns out. I didn't get all the details, and I only saw this information in one source, so I have very limited information about it. But also, in that area, there's no real roads that connect to anywhere else. So you kind of fly in, and you kind of the lady said, well, you'd be walking places. Well, that's not that appealing to me. Like I like the great outdoors, but I'm not that much into fishing and hunting, and I don't have a license for a gun to defend myself for a polar bear because of the redneckism in the North Ontario cultures, where I was curious about attaining such a license, even though I wasn't really interested in getting a gun. And it's related to the RCMP, who get the volunteers to teach the courts who can barely pronounce the right words that you're learning in the class, right? And who will give licenses to, kids from, particular religious communities who have learning disorders instead of, somebody that would use it more responsibly. Now, and it's because, in their lifestyle, the way they live, it's part of their culture. But really, a bow and arrow could be as well, or it could just be a knife, because if you're a farmer, you kind of don't necessarily need to, let's say you kind of need meat or something, you don't need to shoot all the time. But so it's this thing is I'm going to say, well, I've changed my mind. If you offer this to me and you're kind of still trying to intimidate me to accept a post, and you say we've put you in the middle range of the salary, then I'm going to say, well, yeah, well, you have to help me bring this young lady. And it's not going to be easy because in that country, even adults have an incredibly hard time or never succeed in getting a passport, much less the financing to take a flight to leave and even ask for asylum anywhere. So this young lady, well, I'd need the help of either the government over there or religious leaders over there, and I've met a few. So I could kind of negotiate a volunteer contract with a religious leader, say, can you pass this paperwork and I'll come back for a month and teach counseling skills to, your university that you're in charge of or something like that. So I do a lot to help save this one person, you know. I can't save everybody, but this person was a nice person that would appreciate me, and I think she's a brave young lady that would leave the familiar to come to the unknown. And let's say she came to the northern community with me, it'd be there'd be the possibility of bullying and things like that. She'd be different, very likely, than the others, and of course, she'd have to start at a lower grade level. But I'd also help her with her schooling a lot. But at a younger grade level, she'd be sometimes twice as big as the other kids. So maybe they wouldn't bully her. But anyways, even if there is bullying, it's one of the specialties that I can help her and the communities there deal with it. So it'd be a great thing. It'd be a motivator for me to accept a job that wouldn't be about the salary. Because even if they offered me the top range, let's say, of this lower job, although they have some, like the vice principal, that's over 100,000, if they offered me the top, but I can tell they're trying to domesticate me. It's about what they believe are the right ethics or values or ways to behave when it's not to an obvious culture repair and somebody who gets results and who has higher level skill sets when it comes to people skills and understanding the human brain than they do. Then, even the top range salary, I think if I find they're argumentative, I wouldn't do that without them also writing that they would support me to bring this young lady from another country as an international student, even though it's not universities there, but it'd be a community and maybe a school district co-sponsoring this, and it could be maybe the adoption could come later, but it'd be just, let's grant asylum or something to this young lady, but there's so many people to save with all the problems that the people primates have created related to climate emergency, related to political, economic, also unable to even save themselves even when the environmental hardships aren't that hard because the education levels are going down, that it's almost like there's a lack of the ability to be independent from others because of this monopoly game sometimes, but also to have the right skill sets to grow food, to to perform some health services among communities that don't require, somebody to be an MD or a nurse, like even like offer simple first aid without being intimidated might not even be something that is that common in the future. People will get certificates, but they'll be too scared to apply them because of their insecurities, because their brains just won't have, consistent human thinking tools that they can fall back on. Anyways, this is getting into a long one, almost 14 minutes, but it was important stuff of how I feel today. Now I'm going back to work for a job that is I'm making as fun as possible by benefiting from some of the things staff benefit from, but also my sense of humor and just focusing on just getting it done, and not necessarily creating long-term friendships or things like that or having huge expectations. It's just mostly for getting through this end of the summer period for this job and paying for the motorcycle. And I think that would make me very happy to just explore with that and be back on a bike again with the right kind of safety gear. Anyways, thanks for listening to me.